What is up, guys? It is me, the big man bassing. Today we're going to talk about some simple black drum gear and some sheepshead stuff. So you guys stay tuned, have fun, enjoy the video today. We're going to go ahead and see if the old dock pets want to eat. Oh yeah, they're chewing. What is up, guys? So welcome to today's episode. Today we are going to talk about, I don't know, they've just got the hand things going. Anyways, today we're going to talk about some styles for sheepshead and black drum fishing. Now, we're going to start small. We're going to go with sheepshead using fiddler crabs or shrimp, talk about some information on that. We'll work our way up the food chain to the black drum. So, some big stuff with sheepshead fishing. I get asked a lot, what hook should I use when fishing with fiddler crabs or just trying to target sheepshead in general. And a lot of times I have three hooks that people generally rotate towards or get pulled towards. And it's these three right here. These are just your standard hooks, some owners, some mustads. These are like our cheapest hooks we stock. So we'll start with these. These are just a little mustad O'Shaughnessy's, either in a size 1 or a 1/0. They come in a 10-pack. So you're getting more hooks for your money than you are into your owners, but they're a little bit cheaper. They're a little bit bulkier of a hook. So sometimes if you're dealing with picky fish, you're not going to get them to bite as much. You may want to go to a thinner profile hook. Now, the O'Shaughnessy's are a great, strong option. Great option to throw. I have no issues personally with them. I just know sometimes the sheepshead get a little picky. Now with that, going over to the owners, you have your J hooks and your circle hooks. Now, what I see a lot of people use are size 1s and 1/0s, primarily when fishing with fiddler crabs or pieces of shrimp or live shrimp when targeting sheepshead, because one, small, bony mouth. The circle hook's nice because it finds the corner of the mouth the moment these things pull. You don't have to set this hook with a circle hook. With that circle hook, it finds the corner of the mouth and it hook sets itself. With your J hook, you're going to be happy gilmoring fish with the old pump technique. As a bass angler, I'm used to that. So 9 times out of 10, if I'm fishing from a pier, I'm using J hooks. But on the boat, doing other things, targeting some species, you have to use circle hooks. So with all that, it's pretty clear to the point. When it comes to leader materials, I run monofilament, maybe some 25-pound mono or some 25-pound fluoro, depending on where I'm at. Now, you guys have heard some of my great debates, mono versus fluoro. Well, if you're fishing open water for these sheepshead, fishing along little oyster beds, stuff like that on the boat, I'd go fluoro all day because they're going to be picky eaters. Around docks where they're feasting along the pilings, they may be picky as well, and if you're just literally dropping on the pilings beneath you, go ahead, use fluoro. I don't have an issue with that. My issue is when I start pitching around structure, I want to be able, like if I'm dock pitching, right, on the boat, casting up underneath docks, letting it drift, I don't want that 8-pound sheepy to go and wrap me around the piling and pop because it wasn't abrasion resistant. That's when I'm going to use my monofilament. This is one of those cases where I'll throw either or. So that is that, and then there's also 2 ways I like to throw fiddler crabs. One way more than the other, and I kind of have an example here. There's this, and that one probably 90% of the time is what I throw when I'm fishing with fiddler crabs. And then depending on size of them, or maybe the sheepshead aren't biting, at the end. Like I've had some days where the sheepshead will eat them face first every time, or I have some days where the sheepshead will eat them from sideways every time. Hang on a second. So with that aside, typically just how they're feeding is how I'm gonna rig them up. So we're going to talk about artificials now. I do have some actual decent artificials for targeting sheepshead and black drum, and that's going to kind of our segue into it. We have the old gulp, little shedder crab look. These little the peeler crabs, not shedder crabs. So gulp is known for its scent on these crabs. So this is something you definitely don't want to let spill in your truck or your car or get all over your hands, but this is a great little option here. And you can go back and throw it on your circle hook or your little J hook, fish it like that, or even put them on a little bit of a jig head and just pop them backwards and give you that presentation. Now, if you don't feel like using gulp, Savage Gear makes some pretty good little crabs too. They have a nice little weight there on the bottom, hooks rigged up there on the side. So just go ahead and pop backwards. Really easy bait to use and understand how to use. And it's got some weight to it, so you can really bomb it out there. But same thing, your bigger sheepshead, they might hit this, but this is what I try to do if you're trying to go for sheepshead. They do make a much smaller than this Savage Gear, so you may have better luck with that with sheepshead. It may be a good option with that. I don't normally use artificial crabs to target sheepshead, but this is what I have seen people use in the past. Probably the most important thing with drum is understanding how they feed. When you work your way over to black drum, they like crabs, they like shrimp, they like they'll hit small paddle tails. So just the same way that you want to target a redfish, I'd say target a drum, but you may be using some bigger bait for your larger black drum. This time of year, I'll typically take a live blue crab, you know, full-size crab, cut it in half, pitch out half shell, and see what we get to bite. Typically with that though, I'm using a 5/0, maybe a 6/0, depending on the size of the crab, hooking it through the armholes, pitching it out. If you're looking to build your own, I mean, you just need a little bit of weight. I use typically about 40-pound leader targeting the bigger ones. You can use 30-pound, maybe even 25-pound leader on some of the smaller ones if you're just doing that in between sheepshead to black drum. But if you're out there trying to catch yourself a big old stinky drum, I typically recommend 40-pound as your minimum for leader, whether it's fluorocarbon or monofilament, just depending on, like, again, if you guys are fishing around structure, I'd recommend fishing mono. If you guys are fishing open water, go ahead and use your fluoro. And like I said, 5 to 6/0 size hook for that. If you're fishing a little bit smaller, you can downsize your hook depending on what you're using for bait, like for shrimp. A lot of times with shrimp, I like putting them on a jig head. And with this, little bonus thing is how I rig these on here is if you take your shrimp, right, and this is the tail here, and this is the body of your shrimp. You pitch the tail off here at the joint, and you take your jig head, hook it up, and rig it like it's a soft plastic. So the face of the shrimp's going to be facing that way, and your jig head's going to be facing this way with your hook facing backwards on it as well. And a lot of times that shrimp's just going to crawl across the bottom and not flick up and go. And if it does flick up, it's not going to do much. It's just going to cause a bunch of commotion on the bottom. And your drum and snook will also come over and hit that too. So redfish like it, black drum like it, snook like it. If you're looking to increase something or try something new, there's an option for that. Some people do like running the pre-rigs. This is a little, you know, owner pre-rig right here. They're Ghost Leader rigs. It's a fluorocarbon rig with 50-pound line, 4/0 size hook. They make them a little bit bigger and they make them a little bit smaller. They make them down to a size 1. So even if you're looking to do that for your sheepshead, you can do that as well. A lot of times though, I would recommend making your own, but for someone who's just maybe wanting to get out there for the first time and doesn't feel like tying, you can go ahead and tie them up. They're pretty simple. You got your swivels right there at the top, so you tie your main line there. You got your leader here. You can throw a little slit weight on there if you want to, however you like to fish them. Now, when it comes to keeping fish, make sure you're following your state guidelines, everything like that, because I know black drum are in multiple states, sheepshead are in multiple states, so make sure you're following your local DNR game specific rules for those. And when it comes to cleaning them, I will tell you, the Danco knives, best bang for the buck on that from a personal experience, whether it's one of the 5 inches all the way up to 11 inches. A lot of times though, this is fine for most of your fishing. I do like running a smaller knife on sheepshead. You've got to watch out for bones on sheepshead, so I like having that more controlled environment, but I know tons of guys that like a big knife because they just run them through and they've filleted thousands of sheepshead or snapper or whatever you're trying to fillet, and they're very comfortable with the tools that they have. Me personally, I'm a little picky on how I fillet fish because I'm not the pro at it, so I take my time with the fillets so it doesn't look like, you know, Helen Keller tried to fillet my fish for me, because it's looked like that in the past. But little Danco knives, great option for that. And even when if you go into, this is something we have on display here, even if you're looking for something as a leader rig for what you got going on, sometimes these little pre-made leads with weight and everything are good, but I don't trust these hooks personally. But that's why I always say make your own. You don't have to rely on, you know, a machine that tied it for you, or, you know, just more reasons for terminal to fail because more parts. But that is today's video. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, like I said, leave them in the comment section below. Or if you guys have anything you want to reach out, talk to us about, you can reach us over on the Instagram at the Big Man Bassing. That's me. Or Hooked Up Bait Co. and Art Gallery on Instagram as well. So you guys get out there and hook into your next memory. I will see you guys next time.